Nubook 1. From Then to Now. Part 11. That was a scary time for me, Dad, when I was so young. I can think of so many wonderful adventures we had. I will be writing about them, so hopefully people will appreciate all the wonderful little beings that make up this world and the ones beyond. I know that most people consider animals and birds to be a low-life form, and not realising they are just like us. They are on their own journey, until they reach the stage of taking on the human form. Every being is searching to find the great reality. Because of how people have been taught, they are unaware of the best and biggest part of life, I said. You will have so much to write about, probably for the rest of your life, Goldie, said Dad, as he laid his head back and went to sleep. I will miss you both, Mum. The Pacific Ocean isn't that far away. You and Dad can come out and visit me after a while. I know the change will do me good. I want to see if I can find some kind of teaching job as I am writing my book. It would be good practice until I can decide what else to do, I said. Whatever is best will come to be, Goldie. Rebazar and his friends will guide you all the way. Let's go to the other side and see what's happening tonight, said Mum, as she lay back with Dad. I stood up and gave her a hug, and then I lay down and went to sleep. All three of us were once again standing on the beach at the Pacific Ocean. The waves were very big and beautiful as they came roaring into the shoreline. The smell of the sea was so refreshing. A good sign, said Dad. The great strength of life is performing its wonderment. It is showing us you will make a difference in the lives of so many, as you will be like the waves that have come to shore. I want to build a little place for myself on the sand by the water, and then you and Mum can come and stay with me. By then I will have the book finished, and you can read it to see if I left anything out, I said as I began to laugh. I want to remember this place, so that when I bring my body here, it knows where it is at, said Dad. I will help you remember, dear, said Mum, laughing and knowing that she has to lead Dad around sometimes. Let's go swimming again, I said, as they both agreed. The waves coming into the shore were really big today. All of us walked out and dove under the waves. Dad got tossed at first, and then got the hang of it. We swam out past the break, and saw some pelican-like birds sitting in a group. I suddenly got an impression from one of them. They knew who we were, and they said that Rebazar Tars had told them we were coming. Mum and Dad received the same impression, and waved to them. After a while, we went in and sat on the beach in the sun. All of us stretched out on the sand, and just enjoyed the moment. After a long stay, we were soon back in our bodies, and waking up to another day on Earth. It gets harder to get this old Indian body up each day, said Dad. You're not that old yet, Dad, I said, as I wanted to just lay right where I was and dream about the experience with the ocean. Okay, Goldie, you have some riding to do today, Your new life awaits you," said Mum, as she reached over and tickled me. I got up, against my will, and began to gather all my things I would be taking with me on my journey. There is only so much stuff that you can get on a horse. As I was getting ready to leave, my parents were standing by me, ready to see me off. "Goldie, here are a few dollars that I have had from the things that I have traded. You will need some money to get you started," said Dad, as he handed me the money. "Dad," I said, "I have money from the army I saved up. I'm fine." "I know, but I want to give what I have to you." "Because I will never use the money. Your mum and I have everything we need here, so we don't need money. We will know when it is time to come and see you. We will see you from time to time on the other side, just enough to say hello, because you have so much to do. We will be there with you and providing our own assistance. So until then, have a good trip, son, and you already know we love you very much," said Dad. Mum didn't say anything, as I could see it in her eyes, as she was so happy for me, with a bit of a tear rolling down her cheek. I hugged and kissed both of them, and jumped up on my horse. "I will see you too soon," I said, as I rode off in the morning light. Suddenly I felt the cat jump up on the horse. "You forgot about me! I want to see the ocean too, and eat some new friends," he said, as I laughed out loud at his cat humour. It was a nice and mild day, not as hot as when I was in the army. The seasons were slowly changing, and it was a nice change, one that I looked forward to. It was only a couple of days' ride to the Pacific Ocean, but I would take my time. My parents and I had been there several times before, in years past, to visit some Mexican friends they have. Paul and Mary lived right next to the water at the ocean. I was hoping they would still be there, because it would be a good place to stay while I was getting myself settled. The first day riding was rather pleasant and invigorating. As I was riding in the early morning, I saw a large hawk in the sky. He kept circling the area for quite a while, and then flew down and landed in a tree that was up ahead along the trail. As I approached the tree, he was sitting on a branch that overhung the path. I stopped right under him and waited to see if he had anything to say, because I knew he was right where I was at for a very good reason. At first he just looked at me, then he would look away, then he would look at me some more. It was as though he were sizing me up. I love these types of birds because they are so wise and knowing. I had to laugh to myself at the animated way he was acting. After a while, and without even a peep from him, I figured that he was just going to stay silent. As I was about to leave, he suddenly said, "What's your hurry, Indian boy? The ocean isn't going anywhere, is it?" I immediately stopped and began to laugh out loud. I knew he was something special, so I got off my horse and sat on the ground under him, and waited to see what he would do next. After a moment or so, he flew down beside me, several feet away. He was a genuine beauty. He paced around a bit before he began to speak. "You have begun a new journey that very few will even consider," he said, and then looked about once in a while to the left and to the right. "There will be those who do not want you to succeed. They will be part of the tests you must go through to gain the endurance you must have to accomplish something that only a very few have attempted. You have the protection of the true reality and its guides. They are always with you, and watching everything you do. What you will be writing and presenting is very important, because it allows the real light and sound to enter this world from the real source. Not everyone can do what you will be doing, because you are a certain way, a certain being, that has come along the road of life to this point, and made yourself what you are. You will be constantly watched," he said, as he looked at me from side to side. Then the hawk walked around a bit as though he were considering what to say next. I liked watching him and his mannerisms, because right in front of me was an exceptional experience from the source of all life. Then he flew back up to the tree and sat on the branch. After a moment of silence, he said, "See you on the real side." And then he swiftly flew away and back up into the sky, then was gone. It took me a moment or so, but then I realised that it was Rebazar having fun with me and being a hawk. I know the real guides like to disguise themselves and test us to see if we are paying attention. Sometimes they come to me on the real side in a disguise. It may be a test or a lesson that I need to realise to add to the knowledge of my survival. They have taught me that all life is about survival, and as we learn about the higher levels, we can always live in a better position of survival. This is a lifestyle that is far beyond the limitations of the material worlds and the mental restrictions that a person can be convinced by. I soon mounted my horse, and then rode on as the sun was approaching high noon. The cat didn't say a word during the whole experience. I know he understood what the hawk was saying, and I also know he doesn't like to get involved. The horse didn't say anything either, as they both were nature's silence. It was a perfectly clear day, and there wasn't a cloud in the sky. I felt very healthy and aware after the experience with the hawk. I think Rebazar Tars came to give me a real confidence boost, because now I was really going into the unknown. I was wondering about my life and how all things equalled up. As I saw myself and everything that I had gone through, I could only realise one true idea, and that is that every moment of living in the present is all that is real. I rode for quite a long time, feeling free, as I was watching the big open sky for more signs. As I was riding along, something curious and different was beginning to happen. I started to see vague images along the trail ahead of me, like wisps of dreamlike imagery one would see in the desert from too much sun. They were rather subtle and unidentifiable at first, but as they would slightly reappear and then disappear, and then reappear again, they became more obvious. It looked like a scene that was a type of mirage. At first, they were scenes of people that seemed to be moving about and doing their personal affairs in a big city-type setting that I had never seen before. After a while, there began to appear a background that became apparent, and then gradually enlarged itself into a scene that I was not familiar with. There were huge structures that were very tall, and were made from materials unknown to me. I had seen drawing pictures in books that looked similar, but these structures were very tall, and most of them had smooth-looking exteriors, and a lot of windows all the way up the sides. The people were dressed in clothes that were new to me, and there were those machines with the 4 wheels Reba's Artars showed from the other worlds. The machines did look about the same, but these were sleeker, and the people were sitting inside, and not on the top, like the ones Rebazar showed me. I was rather mesmerised by all the activity taking place. Then, what really struck me was, there were machines in the air that were flying. They were really big and strange, like bizarre birds. They were mostly grey in colour, with different designs on the sides of them. I stopped my horse and got off to feel the ground, to try in some way to understand what was taking place. I stood there and stared at this imagery for the longest time. I was amazed at what I was seeing. I didn't know what the scene meant, or even what was going on. As it continued, I began to wonder if I were having a hallucination from being out in the sun too long. I kept trying to consider why this was taking place, and if it did mean something. After a while, I was rather bewildered from the whole experience. This whole experience had now made a huge impression on me. For a moment, I really did not know what world or plane of awareness I was on. Then, as I was about to mount my horse, I heard a voice within me say, "It's the future you will be living, so look again, Goldie." As I moved from my horse and walked a few feet in front of him, I noticed to the right of me that the hawk was sitting on a cactus and looking straight at me. As he said, "Look at the scene again, Goldie. There is so much here for you to be prepared for. Your future is now, and by the very fact of what you are writing and bringing into this world of men, you are laying the groundwork for something wonderful and real. You are the real risk-taker, because at this time there is no one else who will do it." I turned my head from the hawk and watched what was taking place. He was right, it must be the future, because there is nothing on the earth at this time that I know of that resembled anything like what I was seeing. Then the scene took a gradual shift into a different scene. It soon became a view of the ocean along the shoreline, where there were people who had hardly any clothes on. Some of them were carrying a type of board, and then going out into the water and floating on them. I was now recalling the experience where I saw myself as a blonde-headed man, and the real experience that Mum told me about. Then, just as I thought it, there I was, the future me, with a board in my hand, and then going out into the water. After getting to where the waves were, I caught one and then rode it near the shore, then went back out again to do the same thing over and over. It was very fascinating watching all the action as an adventure. This is what you are preparing for. It is your next lifetime, when things on the earth will be very different from what they are now. What you are seeing is for you to be ready for. The humans are going into totally creative time frames that will be so far advanced from your present life. They will have what would seem to be impossible right now, but what mankind will have is a better material life. But his awareness will be buried in what the space gods want. You will come into an era of a real challenge of survival. You will eventually be so creative with your writings, you will touch certain people who will see beyond the illusions of the material realm, said the hawk. As I was looking at the scene, it began to change again, to where there seemed to be some kind of a great conflict going on. There were machines flying in the air and exploding, and with them came all kinds of destruction. The scene was showing many places that were devastated. There were people hurt and dying or dead everywhere. It was hard to imagine all the destruction that was taking place. Along with this, the view shifted to a place of huge structures that looked like shafts into the sky. As I watched, several flying machines went directly into two of the biggest structures and exploded. The fire from the crash began to spread, but then the view went to the bottom of the buildings and underneath them. It was rather dark for a moment, and then suddenly there were a series of explosions. The view came back out and above the two buildings. I watched in shock as I saw the huge structures eventually topple to the ground. I could not fathom any of this, nor would I know how to explain it in my writings. Future conspiracy, which is taking place now, but only with those humans who have the education to recognise it. The real guides see everything, and they allow mankind to make his choices, and you will have the advantage of knowing this from this life and into your next one. A huge preparation is being done for you because you have the true heart, said the hawk in his silent voice. I didn't understand everything he was telling me. I just went along with whatever he said. Then the scene began to fade into another one. It was a view of the earth from high above. I knew what the earth looked like because I had seen it like this many times when I was flying outside of my body. The view began to descend downward toward the upper part of North America, and eventually down to the surface, where there were a lot of lakes. Then the scene became dark, and then gradually disappeared. I soon realized that the last scene was me coming back into a new body in the future someplace in North America. It would seem that I would be born in the northern part of the United States. I wasn't sure where yet, but it really didn't matter. I now knew what I was working toward, and there would be a new world order that would be created by the unaware people of Earth in the future. I suddenly felt rather faint and disorientated because of what I saw. All of the beautiful openness that this land has would soon be gone. Not in this lifetime, but soon enough. I began to wonder why the future was shown to me at this time. To prepare your great strength, Goldie, so that you will know what to do when the time comes. There will be many things you will be shown, because the future is now, and it will be here soon enough. Most people will not be prepared for it the way you will be. They will be coming back many times and having to deal with all the pollution and disease that will be so prevalent in the world of tomorrow and the lifetimes after. Even in the future, most of the populations will still be stuck with the space gods and their systems. You will be prepared because of your knowledge with the natural order of things. You will know what to do when others won't. You will give so many the opportunity to do better in their lives, but so many of them will not listen. The future will bring numerous deceptive controllers, slave traders, those who profess to be what they are not. The religious systems will secretly rule all the political war machines for the domination of absolute control, with embedded fear as the foundation for everything. To you, the human traitors will become obvious after your training period, but most people will not even believe that such people exist, even when the evidence is right in front of them. What you will be doing this lifetime will bring you into the next one, and what you must do then. Your life will be the greatest of adventures. The whole of mankind wills itself to control its destiny, the destiny of eventual demise and destruction. This is what people have been taught by the gods they pray to fear real truth. They first ask and pray to their gods for something, and soon these people want more, and eventually realise their gods will give them the power over others. This is the god power of deception and destruction, and so the rulers of men soon become bored, and they provoke the chaos that has been the real history of the earth. The stage has been set for thousands of years as the reign of terroristic power continues to grow and spread into the civilized world. The masses are constantly messaged to become accustomed to the brutality that will rule the unaware. The gods of man, the warmongers, the brutalitarians, the human deceptors, the authoritarians, and many more infiltrating alienistic influences will subconsciously control the humans. Of course, the humans will be fooled by the marketing ploy of their new social order, and they will only want more from those that have become the authorities on what is best for everyone. You will be shown so much more before this life is over. Above all is the great reality that has nothing to do with the gods of man and the earth controllers. This is why most people will consider what you will be presenting to be of an evil nature, because they have been taught to fear any real truth and real freedom. The minds of men will be filled with so much deception and misinformation that they will only consider the confinement they are experiencing as the only safety they will ever know of," said the hawk. I did not know what to say as I stood in silence. "Now watch the scene again, Goldie," he said, as I watched.